So my next question is this. Regardless of whether you've chosen to be in this business model, this one, or this one, how do you do a better job? How do you increase the satisfaction in your transactions? How do you become more reliable in your relationships? How do you magnify the power in your partnerships? Now I'm going to look at each of these three. I'm not so concerned about this one anymore. I think we can let this one go. But in these three areas, there's something that they have in common. And I want to explore that commonness right now to find how any three of them could be improved, or even how you could move successfully from one to the other. And what they have in common is they're all round. So I want to take one of those rounds and break it up into 4 quadrants and look at one of those circles in 4 different ways going around, 4 different steps to improvement. Yeah. The first step I put in the upper left-hand corner, and I call it explore. Explore. Now, I intentionally use blue here because blue reminds me of blue sky, open thinking, new opportunities, possibilities, discovery, learning. It's open-ended, it's speculation, no promises at this point, just good ideas. Yeah? In a personal example, this would be sitting at the table with that attractive person at the cafe, where you need to do some exploration. So you find out her name, you tell her your name. Where does she work? What does she do? Does she come here often? Got any hobbies? Does she enjoy going to the movies? Any sports that she might play? Right? Other members of her family. So what are you doing? You're exploring. And at a certain point, you might want to go a little more forward and explore, well, would you like to see a movie on next Saturday night? Right? Before you get to that question, you better explore one other very important thing. Right? Yeah, is that other very attractive person already attached? Which leads to an interesting question. How do you find out? Right? I mean, you're just exploring. It's in the early stages here. You can't come right out and go, so by the way, are you married? Because whether she is or not, if you ask the question that way, you're not going to get the date. So you got to come up with an... Now, when I met the woman who became my wife, I had this problem. Actually, I met her in one of my classes. And, you know, I was attracted, and apparently she was somewhat attracted. And so we got to chatting during the tea break, and at a certain point, I had to ask the question. You know, I didn't want to waste too much effort here if she was already attached. I couldn't say, are you married? So I asked the next best question. I said, so have you got any kids? And she must have felt the same thing, because she said to me the perfect answer. She said, well, not yet, but I hope to one day when I meet the right person. And I said, all right. Not like that. In my mind, I said, all right. See, in business, the explore quadrant is where you need to discover all kinds of things. Let's use a customer relationship as an example. Yeah? What business are they in? How's their business changing? What do they need? What do they want? What kind of quantities are they requiring? What's their budget? What kind of schedule are they under? What kind of capability do they have in-house? Or how much support would they require on your part to customize, install, train? What kind of support? You'd want to find out things like past experiences that they've had. What have been their really good experiences with other suppliers that they would definitely want you to repeat? Have they ever had bad experiences with suppliers that they definitely would want to avoid? You want to know that before you start getting into doing any really providing of service. You're just in the exploration phase. And it's not one way. You need to disclose things about yourself as well. So you help them learn and discover about you. What are your capabilities? Right? What experience do you have? What other clients have you served? Where do you see the industry going? How do you see that you can help, etc., etc. Now, this whole quadrant here, explore, ends when one party or the other makes an invitation, a request. It could be a straightforward business request. So, can we supply you with those materials for the next 6 months? A request for the order. It could be an offer. So would you like to join our team as a new employee, and we could work together on some of these interesting projects? Right? It could be something department to department. Should we join forces and make a cross-functional team and work on this project together? Okay, it's an invitation. It could also be very personal. So if you're not busy next Saturday night, would you like to go out with me to the movies? Now, once that's happened, once the request or the invitation or the offer has occurred, you move out of the explore quadrant into the next quadrant, which I call agree. And it's in this quadrant, agreement, where you need to build understanding. You need to settle the details. You need to make sure that both parties are very clear about what it is that you're agreeing to, both the purpose of working together as well as the steps or the process. So from a business standpoint, this is all of your negotiation. These are all of your terms and conditions. This is where you're working out the pricing, the delivery schedule. What are the quantities going to be? What are the terms of the warranty? Do they have any allowances for upgrading or reverse compatibility later on? This is where you really need to get it down in black and white. That's why I put this in black. You need to make sure that the details here are clear. Now, from a personal standpoint, this could also be the date. There are a lot of things that you should work out prior to actually beginning the date. For example, what time are we going to meet? Right? Where are we going to meet? Should I pick you up, or should we meet there? Are we both going to drive or take public transportation, or should I be the one that's driving? Right? Which Saturday night are we talking about? Now let's say we agree to go to a movie. Will one of us pick up tickets ahead of time, or will we go early and stand in line waiting to get the tickets? Right? If we're going to have a bite to eat, should we eat after the movie, or should we eat before the movie? The more clear you are on all of the different terms of agreement in this quadrant, the more likely you are to have a good experience going further down. Even down to the details. Like, if you want to have a really good date, one of the things you should bring up in the earlier conversations is, what kind of clothing should we wear? What level of dress? Otherwise, you might think it's going to be very casual, and she comes all dressed up. In which case, it could be very embarrassing to both parties. Right? All the ladies in the room are shaking their head. All the men are going, huh? What? Guys, take note.